In the bustling metropolitan city of Houston, Texas, a woman named Mary happily lived in her tiny, single-floor bungalow with her cats. Many property developers would offer to buy her home numerous times, and she would refuse all offers until they got tired of offering and just built apartment complexes around her house. She would say that her bungalow was her castle, and that the surrounding apartments were her walls. She found it better this way. Without any friends or family, she was very much a loner. She really only had one eccentric friend that worked at the flower shop downtown that she would visit occasionally. The rest of her time was spent in her castle with her friends, the cats. She would feed the neighboring stray cats until she eventually coaxed them inside and gained their trust. Stroking and petting them, her party grew into dozens. Getting food, water, and love, the cats had no reason to leave and made this their home. Sometime later, a concerned neighbor would notice that Mary's mail had gathered on the porch and her grass had grown high. She would knock on the door to no avail and eventually call the Houston PD for a wellness check. They unlocked the door and were immediately hit with a horrendous stench. Inside the home were numerous dead cats, half eaten by the few cats that were still alive. Piles of feces littered the home and urine soaked the floors. They immediately assumed that Mary was dead and commenced searching the house for her body. But Mary's body was not found. No one quite understood how a woman who loved her animals as much as she did could just up and leave them to die, as well as presumably leaving her belongings behind. Perhaps she was kidnapped. But with no signs of a struggle or forced entry, the police were left baffled with no answers. No charges were filed, and the investigation went cold. Mary had disappeared. Animal control would remove the dead and live cats from the home, and months would go by until the home went into foreclosure. A Houston realtor would purchase the home and completely remodel the inside given its history, and put it on the market for long-term rental. A starry-eyed couple reached out to the realtor to rent this home, hoping to be in Houston for at least 3 years. Both parties were overjoyed. Papers were signed and movers were called. The young couple would move inside the house where Mary had disappeared and left all of her cats to die. Very near the first week that they were in the home, the young man had went up into the attic to investigate a part of the house where they had not yet been. He looked around and everything was normal, so he started backing down the ladder and noticed that a floorboard was out of place. He decided that since he was up there, he would fix it. As he got near the floorboard, he noticed that board should have been covering what's called a flue space, which is the area in between two walls. As he shined his flashlight down into that area, he gasped and called the police. The police would arrive and tear down that wall. They would retrieve Mary's dead and decayed body. The marks that she made on the walls trying to escape the wood and stucco home were left behind. It's speculated that Mary died from dehydration or asphyxiation, but what is clear is that she was alive in that wall for an undetermined amount of days. With no friends or family to miss her presence, the cats were the only ones that knew that she was missing it all. Her own little castle became her own little tomb. Rest in peace.